No, I don't wanna play no games. No, I don't wanna hear your promises. You do you and I'll do me. That's just the way it is.
Boom.
Yes. What is good, everybody? We're loosely watching the Champions League here. I was going to go live for it, but there's no real game that gets my goat there, so... Yes, 78 RPM. What's good? Yes, Sauce Punt. Geeds up. Yes, Bretty boy. How we going? This is a ridiculous article, but I thought it was worth reading. Let's get it saucy up in here. There we go. It's a bit more saucy, isn't it? Yes, Irene Dedick. What's good? Just shower once daily, mate. Seen that much here now, Jack. You might as well move in. Yes, indeed, Brett Mill Mucker. We're popping in here to talk about this ludicrous article, but it will get the people going, won't it? The JTs of the world. Because it's actually interesting. Although I think it's absolute nonsense. We're back here, aren't we? Because now, we want these articles, really. Because in reality, that means that we're significantly closer to staying up, aren't we? It's looking increasingly like that we're going to stay up. So the headlines will always be Farke out at the end of the season. The 49ers considering his future, yada, yada, yada. So the headline goes, 49ers risk Leeds United fan backlash after major Daniel Farke developments. Leeds United manager Daniel Farke has overseen a remarkable turnaround this season, which has now put the Whites on the brink of ensuring Premier League survival. That's my case in point. This is where we begin. It says a lot about the work the German has done. That Leeds were disappointed to leave Aston Villa with a point in their bag on Saturday. Wayne Rooney insisted that the away side were unlucky not to win. Now, I didn't think we were unlucky not to win. I thought we were far better in the first half, and I thought they were far better in the second half. I thought, in reality, it evened out quite nicely and quite fairly. Several pundits have already backed them to survive the Premier League this season. Again, that's my point. That's why these articles are now starting to surface, these nonsense articles. But I do think they're based around what a bit of the fan base will try and push. So let's see. And Leeds are not even being mentioned in discussions around the race to the drop in the top flight this season, which we are getting mentioned. We are the top of the league in the drop, aren't we? There's us. Crystal Palace have probably pulled away now. It's us, Tottenham, Forest and West Ham, isn't it? We're still in there. We're definitely still in there. 6 points off. With 10, 11 games to go is not enough, is it? So we're definitely still in there. However, there are now suggestions that Farke's future at Leeds is not secure and the club could decide to part ways with the German at the end of the season. Now, this feels a lot like it feels at the end of last season, doesn't it? Granted, it was... nothing would surprise me in football, but at the end of last season, I did think it'd be pretty wild if we'd have got rid of Dr. Farke, and they'd have probably kept the medics, wouldn't they? And again, I think this article's jargon. The 49ers have different plans for Leeds United beyond Daniel Farke. I believe they have a contingency plan. I believe that the 49ers are well screwed in and well on top, and I think they will have had a couple of managers in some sort of situ, and they will constantly be looking at the market, both for players, both for scouts, both for managers, both for everything, for sporting directors. Everybody can get the chop. Every player can go. Every manager can go. Every job position can be refilled, changed, demoted, promoted, yada, yada. Leeds backed Farke earlier in this season when it would have been easier to sack him amid a torrid run of form in the Premier League. Now, again, I think that's slightly hyperbolic. I don't think we had a torrid run of form. Would you agree? Or would you say that the run was torrid? I don't think it was torrid. We had a few bad results. We had a decent blip, a bad blip. 3 games or something on spin. 3 or 4 games if I remember rightly. We'll go back through that because I might be slightly under-egging it there. Thank you, Sauce Pun. I can understand if they change Farke. Got to keep levelling up, and that might include a management upgrade with a longer-term plan, says Brett. Yes, Luke, what's good, big man? Enar in the wings, Enar getting the love. Yes, Arse report's good. The Germans' position should be more secure, and Premier League survival should almost guarantee that he would be in charge of the team next season. However, that doesn't appear to be the case according to Football Fancast. Leeds are weighing up the possibility of parting ways with Farke at the end of the season. The club's plans are partly in response to Oliver Glasner's leaving Palace in the summer, as the two clubs will be in the market for similar managers. Both clubs want to bring in a progressive coach who could help them to move to the next level. They spelt two wrong. That's how bad the article is. Spelt two wrong. Marco Rose is on the shortlist of the Premier League duo. So if anybody thinks that we will move quicker just because there's potentially a manager on the market, unless he's absolutely top tier, I can't see us getting rid of Farke on the basis that there's another, unknown on the way in. I don't think they'd be taking any risks. I think if they wanted, I don't know, if Conte or if we could get Simeone, I think that's obvious that you'd probably edge your bets and go with perhaps move Farke on, saying job well done rather than sacking him. But I don't think it's because Crystal Palace are in the market for a manager that we'll be getting rid of our manager. Farke will enter the final 12 months of his contract at Leeds in the summer, but the club are yet to open talks over a new deal despite their success this season, which is fair enough. I also don't really think, as long as there's a contingency plan, do you need to have open talks with Farke? We don't know that there haven't been any talks. They don't know that Farke don't want the talk. You don't know that they answered, look, should we have a chat about extending you? They're both probably mutually consent towards saying, can we have a chat at the end of the season? Let's see how the season goes. Farke will be under no illusions that he could have lost his job round January. There were a lot of pressure building. So he'll have known that he could potentially be on way out. He'll have known that he could potentially be on his way out anyway, regardless of, what it is. So they're not going to be going into... Farke will just think, no, to be honest, I'll just take each month as it comes, unless they slap down a 4-year huge contract, to be fair. Then obviously everybody would snap it up, wouldn't they? Leeds have plans to spend big in the summer, and it seems they want a new manager to oversee the next stage of development. The fans will turn on the 49ers, it says. Now, I'm not sure that's true either. I don't think... I wouldn't like it, and then you'd have to just get over it. I think how football is now, you'd have to sort of just go with it, wouldn't you? Genuinely. I wouldn't want it to be the case, but if it was to be, I think most fans would just go. They'd have a sick couple of weeks, and then I don't think they'd turn on the 49ers necessarily. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like how the club's being run, but that doesn't really bother me. Truth be told, I'd just be like, right, well, let's see what they're doing in market then. What manager do we bring in? And then, to be honest, I'd be super critical of everything they did at that point, and I don't mean just for the sake of it. But if they started to, make errors, or if it got a shit manager in or signings, I would be straight on YouTube to, chat some shit, chat some beans about the fact that, be careful what you wish for, basically. There have been points this season where the Leeds fans were not happy with Farke and had more or less turned on him, and sacking him would have been a popular decision. Now, again, I'm not sure how true that is. I don't know where we're getting these. It is indeed speculation, Ming. Yes, that's what I mean. It is speculation, isn't it? How do we know? I know there was a lot of fans that weren't happy about Farke, but I don't know if the whole fan base were behind this. It's clickbait, Luke. We know that. 78 RPM, it's a clickbait. Obviously, Farke's position is dependent on it in the target set, and we are ahead of targets. Hopefully, we are 78 RPM, yeah. There'd have definitely been more noise that they're going to get rid of him had he not been hitting these targets. So, why would the 49ers say that and rock the boat? Makes no sense. Yeah, I just wanted to then get a conversation going as well, Luke, at the end of this article, see what we reckon to actually, going forward. 49ers will be looking at top-tier managers for future, but I don't think for 1 minute they are any way disappointed with Farke. They will stay with him until they think he has hit his ceiling. I agree. Yes, Teddy Greengrass. I agree, G60 Nick. How about your YouTube Bullshido 11? Let's make it happen, Brett. Just because some idiot owners renew early, We do not have idiots. We have the 49ers who will stick with their man and don't give a flying F about morons on the internet. And to be honest, 78 RPM, that's my favourite part of the 49ers. That's my favourite thing that they do. When there was, they don't rush into all, when the heat was coming on pretty strong at the start of the season, like going, what's happening with Farke? Like, they're the ones in the room with Farke, aren't they? So we don't need to worry about these things, really. I'm not saying that they're adverse to making a bad decision. Any businessman, any man can make it. Any woman, any man, woman, dog, cat, anything can make a bad decision, can't they? But they're certainly not just going to go. They're not going to acquiesce just because there's a few fans rumbling on Twitter and Voldemort's going crazy and that horrendous defender's going on one. Because I don't think it'd have been a popular decision to sack him earlier on in the season. I certainly didn't want it. I know 90% of people on channel didn't want him sacked. There were a lot of people going round saying that they did, and they thought it was time for him to go. But got to walk before we run, says Greengrass. You got to do a bit of both. You have Greengrass. It's not like other fans have been exactly the same. It was Arteta out last week. Well, they're a different breed, aren't they? However, the scenario has changed completely, and Farke's stock among the Ellen Road faithful has never been higher. I don't know about that either. I think I've not read a single sentence in this whole article yet that's not been laced in a little bit of hogwash. The German has won over the Leeds fans. Not won over the Leeds fans. I think most Leeds fans were pretty happy with him even after the first season. They could see what he was doing and the fact that he had full control over the squad and he was willing to make big decisions and got plenty of wins and weathered the storm when players were dropping out and we lost everybody. Start of Farke's reign when we had Jamie Shackleton on right hand side midfield and stuff was not looking good, was it? And he's managed the team really well. I think he's got rid of any big timers that just can't cut it. He's made a proper he's got a proper team spirit, I do believe. SBO's back. I'll talk to you in a minute, SBO. Arsetrippers, 49ers done well so far. We have to go with what they say. If he stays or goes, we can't do aught about it. We can't do aught about it, that's for certain, Arseripper. Derek Williams says, listen, we have been listening to this crap season in, season out. Give the man a bloody break. He's doing a fairly good job. Let's get to the end of the season, okay? Absolutely, Derek Williams. Could not agree more, sir. And then, like I say, if something mental happens. But, the articles come out. It's good fun, really, in reality. I just wish we could create a different sense of clickbait. I'm more than well aware that I'm getting stuck into it here with the clickbait, but it's just an article that I thought I'd read that would spark a few conversations. I think Prince Andrew has been used as a scapegoat. If you actually look into it, he hasn't done anything wrong. Last time I checked, 17 was legal. I'm not sure you're in the right chat here, Tony, but I'll take it. It's fine. I actually heard Voldemort say exactly same things yesterday or the day before. Obviously, he's taken to writing propaganda articles for the dark side. Well, this is on the Leeds press, so whoever does that. Yes, Frack. Big up, Farke. Get up. Serious question, are you happy to just survive for the next few seasons, or do you want to be climbing? Definitely want to be climbing, Brett, but I've seen no evidence from my... Yes, Tony, don't worry, mate. I've seen zero evidence from this season to suggest that if Farke doesn't have more utensils, if he doesn't have more tools in his shed, in his arsenal, I've seen no evidence of the fact that he can't take us higher up the league. Whether or not he's the manager for the next 5-6 years, I don't think it's important. I think Farke's got his head screwed on, and he can do some good work with us. He can leave a proper legacy with us, and maybe be the first manager to leave behind something that can be built on, rather than when managers currently leave, it's all gone to shit, and you're just dragging in any which random manager. I just think while ever we're in a building process, we might as well let the man continue to build. He's put the blocks down, hasn't he? Come on then, big boy. It's not as if their targets are not known. They were presented to shareholders 3 years, 17th, 16th, 16th. They are not suddenly going to demand Champions League. And bringing in this new manager, whoever this new manager may very well be, does not guarantee Champions League anyway, does it? 78 RPM. That's what we're saying. We're in a building process. We've been super competitive all season. with a few more tools in my man's shed. You know, get the man a brand new tractor and we will plough this field, boy. The German has won over the Leeds fans, and their connection between the team and the supporters has turned Ellen Road into a fortress again this season. Well, that's not as much as the Leeds fans have something to do with Ellen Road being a fortress, and it has been a brilliant atmosphere all year. That's Farke and the side that create that, don't they? They're the fortress. I think the Leeds fans are always going to turn up at Ellen Road. I know it can get a little bit aggy sometimes, but, you know, we're always going to turn up, and we just sort of demand that the players turn up, and thus far, the players have turned up, haven't they, with Dr. Farke at the helm. So, managerial breakdown in England's top flight this season. Matches managed, 27. Wins, 7. Draws, 10. Losses, 10. Total points, 31. Points per match, 1.15, which, you know, Farke in the Championship was always banging on about 2 points per game, wanted to win it. There's been some talk about it being 1 point per match, which does freak me out a little bit when you say it like that in reality. But I just think it's, you know, it's like he said before, it's not, we don't literally mean, right, let's get to 30, we're actually aiming for 38 points. It's just like, if we can, you know, points per match, if we can end up 1.15, I think we're going to be all right, aren't we? So I just think you've got to be like, you know, that everything's stat-based now as well, isn't it? Which does my head in a little bit, to be honest. You know, I can't be on with all this stats and all, you know, backing up this. And you can make a stat do whatever you want, I think. But stats like points per match, you know, you can't really argue with. Obviously makes sense. We've played 27 games, we've got 31. We've got more points than we have matches played. You know, you don't want to draw every game, all 38. Probably would keep you up that. But, you know, we're in a position to build. 10 losses, 10 draws, 7 wins. I actually mentally think that looks worse than it actually feels, because I don't feel like we've lost 10 games this season. It's not felt like that. It's been a long old season, really, just, you know, banging games left, right and centre, aren't you? You know, 10 losses is, you know, a significant amount, but 10 draws, 7 wins. The season's been a lot more positive than it has been negative this season. Yeah, see, nah, that Tony fella is wrong. 17 is illegal under American law. Let's keep moving. Come on then, Greengrass, get something sensible in there. I would love Farke to scrape us into Europe before the inevitable happens, so let's win the damn cup. And you know it's 78 RPM. Yes, Dave Marwood, just join the chat up. It's all positive. We've been... Brett says it's as positive as a dead battery, but we're always positive over here, Dave Marwood, or we do as best to be anyway, don't we? Some states, like some Europe, 13 is the age of consent. Sweet Lord. Brett knows his stuff in that department, it seems. Been to US lately, mate. Easy now, boys. Easy now. So, if Leeds United managed to stay up and Farke is still shown the door, it's likely it wouldn't take long for supporters to turn their frustrations towards the 49ers, regardless of the reasoning behind the call. Now, this is what I'm saying. They're not... This article feels like it's been flipped reversed onto itself from January. It feels like they've just sort of like gone into ChatGPT and put, you know, will you flip reverse what I put in an article in January trying to get rid of him, saying that, you know, the fans, they were probably saying in January the fans will turn on the 49ers unless they get rid of Farke. And now we're here. And I'm not sure... the thing is, I think you'd have to be off your box to be surprised when something happens. You say it all the time about people in general, but, you know, you can be surprised once, can't you? If you're still surprised by crazy things happening in football, then, you know, you need to grow up, don't you, really? Grow a set of balls, because stuff can happen always, you know, and stuff becomes untenable as well, you know, but we're nowhere near that. I'm not on about in this scenario, but, you know, I think Farke's quite a... what would be the word? I think, you know, he's quite strong in his own convictions as well. So if it ain't going his way necessarily, if the board don't, if they stop aligning, I think Farke's the type of man to not necessarily walk away, but certainly push for sack to get his payout or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I think he's quite... What's the word when you've got your morals, or it wouldn't really be morals in football, would it? What would be the word? Don't know, but you know what I'm saying. Like he stands on business, doesn't he, as our last would say. You got to stand on business. Why are you saying that? Anyone succeeding the German would find it hard to win their support, and it could become toxic sooner than the owners would expect. This is what I mean. That's what I mean. I do. There's an element of that though. I would be, again, be careful what you wish for. So Leeds have earned much needed stability under Farke, and if the 49ers decide to sack the German in the coming months, they risk destabilising the club. Yeah, so that is the article, boys. So my question is, what do you think? What's the percentage? What's the chance of him being moved on? End of season. 20, 21 to 40, 41 to 60, 61 to 80. Can't do above, so just pretend 80 plus. If 80 comes in at the win, then I'll put it. See how far up the 80s people are going. Where have I left it here? Yes, Brett. How we feeling about Saturday? What we're saying, says Taddy Greengrass. We win. Greengrass has asked for a Pagate up. I know Patrick Swayze was announcing Dirty Dancing. Understood. Fish that young, you throw it back. Cletus. Paul, would you rather have stuck with the doctor or have 2, 3 or more this season? Exactly that. The doctor's come right, hasn't he? So, to be honest, if Farke massively exceed his targets, in brackets likely, we love 78 RPM on the Farke hype, it would not look good to shit. Not to fans, not to pundits, but the future manager candidates. That is also a good shout, to be fair. You don't want to become one of them clubs where, I know you still end up getting the manager, but like Notts Forest at the moment, you just know that the manager also knows and he thinks, oh, it's going a bit turgid, it's gone a bit shit, and they're looking for their own way out, aren't they? I saw an article earlier, funnily enough, on here about James Milner, that he's done his badges. I'm going to read that as well, but it's Man City next, Brett. Yes, indeed. Saturday at 3, Man City. Yes, Richard Todd. Evening, Jack. Late to the chat, but a settled ship for another 2 years is what's needed. Look at this. It's what I'm saying, boys. In there. Yes, Richard Todd. Look at our last approach in the Prem and all the shambles elsewhere, Jack. It's not working for anybody else, is it, Richard Todd? Maybe sometimes there is a time to realise that you've got a man that does run the ship well, and maybe we are going back towards football. Football's becoming a little bit more physical as well and a little bit more aggressive in play at the moment. It's less ticky. It's less philosophy based, isn't it? Like, I don't want to say Carrick's doing a good job, but he's come in and gone basically a little bit back to basics, hasn't he? Taking the silliness out of football a little bit and gone, should we just be competitive, and like, if you need to hit teams on break, hit them on break. If you've got all possession, I don't know. We're quite malleable. There were a Villa fan popped into my chat the other day for a watch along, and he were mentioning like, I hope you don't just sit back. And I commented, I really genuinely, I can't remember exactly what I said, but I meant it. It's like, well, we don't sit back unless we're sort of penned back. There's times in games where we ride it out and you think, right, we're penned in here. But when the game's there for the taking, we take the bull by the horns, don't we? And we do commit men forward and we do try press and we are aggressive. And then when they're on top, we become a different animal, don't we? And we get behind ball a little bit more. We get every midfielder behind ball and, we sit in a little bit more. We go 5 at back and we make sure Tanaka and Gruever are in there, hustling and bustling. And then when there's the time to go forward, we get forward. That's when we sort of go on break. That's when we pump it long to Calvert-Lewin, try to get him to hold something up, try to get Okafor around him or whoever's with him. So we're more malleable, and maybe it's going back towards that way. You don't want any flashy Ramazanis in there or whatever. You want players that can do the job. Premier League footballers, Milner playing centre midfield again for Brighton is madness, innit? I'm not knocking the lad. He's 40. It's unbelievable what he's done. But, he's that type of player personified, and obviously got a wonderful quality in him as well. He's a brilliant footballer, but he's not flash. He's not crash bang wallop what a video, is he? He's rough, rugged, and raw, isn't he? He's good on ball. Obviously, he's excellent on ball, and he's like as good as you get when you're a solid footballer. He's like the pinnacle of the professional footballer, isn't he? But he's not got the talents that, say, Bruno Fernandes has got, or, you know, JackCity, for instance, who everybody bangs on about. It's like, is JackCity really going to... I mean, Man City is slightly different. They play a different way, but Wirtz has come in, and he's allegedly, you know, the man, and he's brilliant on ball, and everybody were telling me at the start of the season he's going to rip it up, and I was like, well, I don't think he is, and I got ridiculed by a couple of people, and I was like, well, I don't think he will. I just didn't. Just in my gut instincts, barely knew all about him. I just thought, I've seen this movie before, and then he comes in and he's been, you know, he's flattered to deceive. What do you think the age of consent should be? I don't know, Tony. Whatever it is, I think age of consent is pretty easy to work out, really. 78 RPM, 0%, says my guy. Love it. We've got 0 to 20 is 72%, 21 to 40 is 11%, 41 to 60 is 17%. So the fact that there's nobody in there at 61 to 80 is music to mine ears. German style. You can see a draw at Ellen Road. We managed to hold them at home, and you are performing better. It's half-5 kick-off, Taddy Greengrass. Yeah, you'd think I'd know on the basis that I'm going. I know, Greengrass. I've got you, mate. Yeah, I think we can get some. Oh, Brett's not messing about at all, to be fair. Take it easy, Arse Ripper. Cheers for popping in, mate. Legend. If you smash a like on your way out, mate, it'd be much appreciated. There's 15 room, only got 23 likes. Need to get them likes up, boys. White Swan. Best time to change managers at the end of the season. I don't mind Farke going if we get someone better. Well, this is it, though, isn't it, White Swan? This is stepping into the unknown, though, isn't it? I think Farke deserves another season at it. I think he deserves more tools, more players. I think every single player at the club is right behind him, honestly. You know, Nonto's been quiet this season. You know, there's been no real rumblings coming from him. Tanaka looks like he's spat dummy out a couple of times, a little bit to me, but he's probably just a bit of an emotional fella. But, you know, they all come off at bench and they all try hard, don't they? And I do think he separates them. I think he gets the dick slaps out the squad as quickly as he can, to be honest. If he's not 100% certain on them attitude-wise, they're gone. Bringing in players like Calvert-Lewin, Sean Longstaff, they know what it's about. They bring good energy to the squad, don't they? Proper pros. Understand that you don't play every minute of every game, and they're willing to, you know, work the way into the side or sit on the bench for a time, you know, not then be looking at the next man thinking, well, why aren't I playing? I'm a better centre mid than he is. I'm a better centre forward than he is. It's like, well, you got to prove these things, haven't you? I don't care sort of how good you are or what your Premier League experience is. You have to prove thyself. Nobody can argue that Farke is not steady and stable in his whole nature. That suits the 49ers. As much as I love him, a Bielsa type would be the opposite of a 49ers profile. That is also probably very true, 78 RPM. He will suit the 49ers. I think they have serious chats, don't they? Again, complete speculation. This is as much speculation as the article was. But agreed, big man. You know, they'll go into meetings and they'll talk honestly, candidly and openly, won't they? And they will both make the points. And I think they will meet in the middle a lot, and there'll be certain things. I think it's like anything in business, isn't it? And I'm by no means a businessman, but or relationships, you have to there has to be a little bit. You have to give a little bit to get something, don't you? So you pick your battles. So Farke, I've no doubt, has put up with things that the 49ers have done that he's not happy with, and I've no doubt that the 49ers have put up with things that Farke has done that they're not happy with. But the things that they need to be right, they've both gone along with each other, and you know, you've got to pick what's most important, and you in the room at the time. And if you're talking about a player or talking about a signing, or, you know, if there's ever, say, tactics mentioned to Farke, I wouldn't want the 49ers talking. If I were Daniel Farke, being the boyo that he is, the tactical master that he is, I wouldn't want the 49ers having a word with me about tactics. It'd be like, with the greatest respect, fuck you off. Talk to me about anything else. Talk to me about something else. Talk to me about how much your hot dogs are this weekend, you know. And then I'm not too happy with how much they are as Dr. Farke, you know. And you should get the bratwursts in there. But he's not going to die on that hill. He's not going to go, I'm leaving this club unless there's bratwursts, you know, in the dugout. Not in the dugout, in the stands. You know, I'd prefer that as a fan. So maybe Dr. Farke should die on that hill. But then when it comes to signing a player, when they've signed him 10 this season or whatever, and they've not got that sprinkling on that extra special sauce that we've been discussing, and then they brought Facundo in January, and he knows it's going to be harder to integrate him. That's Farke's job, isn't it? You go, well, you have done something for me this season. That's why I didn't really agree with like the backlash and the hit up that everybody went when we all went mental that we'd not brought anybody in. In summer, and we brought loads of players in, and he's used every single one of them. The 49ers will also be buzzing with that. He's not lost money apart from Perry, which you can't do all about. All he did was start him. He's not lost money on any player. The stock's probably risen in every single player, other than, you know, players that'll probably stay with us, you know, like Longstaff and stuff, who's probably, you know, gonna get towards the end of his career before he goes. You know, he'll be with us for a few years, won't he? So they're not their investments for the here and now, aren't they? You know, James Justin and stuff, you know, Southgate was being spoke about the other day that he'd have been with England squad had it not been for his injury. And to be honest, I can half see it. I think he's excellent. I mean, Matt Leeds said the other day on podcast that, you know, he's an outside shout for England now with his versatility. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but, you know, why not? Been in mint form. It was good to see him start again at weekend, to be honest. I thought it'd have been really harsh dropping him. He's been good. Dave Marwood, Farke has a strong personality, good morals, and I think he knows the players what's needed to succeed. He's had experience in the Premier League without any support. Look at what he's achieving with us. I love it, Dave Marwood. I want to say this as well. A lot was said about Farke's time at Norwich, and I thought everybody knew that Norwich was shit. So he gets lambasted with this. He's outdone himself in terms of the Norwich, which wasn't hard to do with us. You know, that was a must, wasn't it? Obviously, in order for him to stay in the job, you know, he need to outdo what he did at Norwich. But we seem to fail to remember how bad Norwich were, and they went up with Farke out the Championship, and then they barely added anyone. So it's like, where would they? He's done the job with them in the Championship, and then the Premier League were too much for them, and everybody knew the Premier League were too much for them. Just to get them out of the Championship was some sort of a result. And I speak to Lockie, and like Lockie was saying, which one of the Norwich players actually went on and had any sort of career or Premier League career? There's only Buendia, who we nearly re-signed. You know, there's been loads of rumblings that we could have got him in Championship last year. So he's been not hit and miss. I know he's been quite injury prone and stuff. But to have one player that then carries on into Premier League, that's proof that you can and fodder, isn't it? You know, none of them went and did anything from that side. You see that? I think the 49ers wouldn't be that knee-jerk. Their decisions are very considered and well thought out. We finish on 49 points, says Tim Mason. Love it, mate. 49, another 18 points from 30. That'd be fucking awesome, mate. I'd love it. Get up, Tim Mason. Swear fans think certain managers have a magic wand and do mind melds on players, then team win all the time. Agreed, Ming. It's not... Dr. Farke all day for me. I know I did Greengrass, yeah. I thought it was 3 o'clock, but, you know, it's the least of my worries, the mistake. Grafters FC is the future and a sprinkle of class, Richard Todd. You want to set up, and then when you do get your best players in, when you end up getting, you know, a bit of a fluke like Rafinha when we brought him in and he was obviously unreal, you're better off having a bit of a workhorse team, aren't you, that are really well oiled and like just function, and then you allow your bells and whistles to actually go and express themselves in games, don't you? It's really difficult, you know. You know when like even top players can't always perform when there's plenty of performers around. It's like they're not getting all the ball. It goes wide to Salah, it goes wide to Diaz at the time, whoever they've got now. You know, it goes to different players, doesn't it? Gyökeres, probably everything last year went through him. I know he's now banged in a few goals, the dickhead, with that awful celebration. But, you know, it goes through different players. It's difficult to be the best player in the side when the rest of the team get equal opportunity. It's like De Bruyne, Foden. Foden's suffered really in a couple of seasons where De Bruyne played. Foden's suffering now again. It's like Foden on his own. If we had Foden, he'd be able to express himself within our side, wouldn't he? And he'd be good every week. Grealish has found that a little bit at Everton. Obviously, he's got injured, but he's been good every week. Dewsbury Hall's been good everywhere he's been. Apart, obviously, didn't get many games at Chelsea. But it's the same thing. It's a similar thing. It's like it's difficult for players to show up when everybody else is on the ball and actually trying to create, trying to score goals. You need to build a foundation to actually, especially at the level we're at, when we're on about finishing, 10th to 15th, when that's the aim. It's like you need to allow your top player, which we don't currently have, do we? Calvert-Lewin's probably our biggest threat. Okafor can have a good day and Aronson can have a good day. But we don't have a top player, do we? And we're doing what we're doing. So if you give him that top player, which is obviously the hardest thing to get, and we'd need to add even more strength and to the squad, obviously, next season, and I think we will. So I don't know what it is, Brett, but it's honestly not my end. If it pops up, I'll read them all out, mate. Honestly, you know me by now. If you don't know by now, you never knew. Yes, AO, what's good, big man? Farke was only a fill-in manager and was never our long-term future gaffer. We need to step up to the next level, and Farke isn't it. I don't know what this next level manager is. We can't get a next level manager before we are ready to go to the next level. We need to build towards the next level. You can't just get a manager in and then be at the next level. I don't know how any other manager would have us playing that would be any better than what Farke's got us playing. We're brilliant. I actually think summer will the first window where players go because they are not good enough. Some people need stock up on Kleenex. 78 RPM. The belter. Richard Todd, is there a better man out there than Dr. Farke? Someone convince me with names. That's your answer, Richard Todd. Agreed, big man. Agreed. Dr. Farke and the medics, mate, all day. Yes, AO, if you could smash us a like, guys. We've got 51 in the room and only 33 likes. If you could keep them likes coming in, as you well know by now, it does proper help the channel and the algorithm. Can confirm that the poll, after 30 votes, is 0 to 20% chance of him leaving. 63% say that. 21 to 40 says 13%. 41 to 60 says 20%. And unbelievably 3% says 61 to 80, but I think they might be on wind up. Brett's reason for Labrie out is he gets found out at Lorient both season. He fell off in the second half and people blamed it on his best players being. This is the second season he fell off after Christmas. He's done a good job for you though, hasn't he, Brett? I don't know. There's got to be a bit of loyalty up in this bitch. Here comes AO, positive and no agenda as per. You stay loose, stay loose. He's been well backed. He has been well backed, to be fair. Rich Walker, 5 players that should leave before Farke. Joseph, Rama, Peru, Nonto and Byram. I would agree, Rich Walker, yes. My proviso will genuinely be Nonto. Joseph got to go, there's no point. Ramazani can go. Peru, unfortunately, is not done what I hoped he'd be able to do and just pick up a few goals this season. I know you can't even really say he's not had an opportunity because Farke went with him at the start of the season, didn't he? But when you've got competition like Calvert-Lewin and even Metcher, he's nowhere near that level, is he? So he will get moved on at end of the season. I think he's a good character again. Like, he's been said that he wants to stay and fight for his place and stuff. So it's good stuff, but we've got to move on from that. But I would give Nonto another season. There is a world for me. I know I've hung on to Nonto for a while now, and he's not done all. Like Matt Leeds said, he's not been good for a couple of years now. But I do think there's a world where Nonto can really push on. I think he comes on and he gives 100%. So I'll poll that. But I do think most people will be against me there. I know JT thinks everybody just agrees with me on here, but I'm not. We all know that's not true. Nonto to go. do you want? Would you let? I'll put. Would you let Nonto go in summer? Depends on the figure as well. Now we don't do what do you call it over here, do we? We don't mind talking about the money, do we? But we also think it's a bit daft over here, going like, well, I'd take 15 mil, well, I'd take 25 mil. I won't take a pinch over 8 mil for him. I won't pay 10 mil. I'd pay 9 mil, but I won't pay 9.5. I'd do 8 with add-ons, and it's like, it just never ends. It's like, it's total silly talk. It's like monopoly money, like being on Champ Manager. There's no budget, no thinking behind it. It's just like total nonsense. But I do think the majority will probably let Nonto go. But there's just something that makes me want to hang on to him just for another year. I'm not sure when his contract runs out, to be fair. When does Nonto contract end? Summer 2028. So we're all right in them terms. We should get money for him. I'd be fuming if they brought in someone like Mourinho, says Tim Mason. Yeah, when it were getting rumbled about at the start of the season that Farke might be getting moved on and that, you know, there is an element of me where it's just like if Mourinho came in, it'd have to be a blockbuster name, wouldn't it, at the start of the season, really. But I agree, Tim Mason. He's not filled himself with well, he's not done up for a while now, has he? Farke's in far better form than Mourinho is. Everywhere Mourinho's been in the last 5 years, Farke would have done the same job, so if not better. AO says, I'm keeping it real, and if anyone thinks Farke will lead us to the Premier League or European Cup success, it ain't happening. I don't know what this means, though, AO. What's happened? We're not even a full season. We're not even guaranteed to be safe in the Premier League this year. And my man has to get us to Premier League title. We're some way off the Premier League title. You've seen Arsenal before, haven't you? You watch Arsenal with watch-alongs. Yes, Harley. A lot being said about Biol and Byram and their lack of involvement for me. Byram is not a Prem player. We have to scrap this whole mindset that because someone is a good lad, that means they're a player. Well, he's a good player, is Byram. He's definitely not at the level of the Premier League anymore. But I disagree slightly, man, that you have to just get rid of players because they're not, they're not playing. I think he'll get moved on at end of the season. He'll probably want to go play somewhere. I don't know how old he is, but I'm going to be in his 30s, won't he? But it was a safe bet, truth be told. Again, it was like, well done. 32 years old, September, so he's about to turn 33 this year. So he's definitely toward the latter of his... But, you've got a man in there that not going to kick up a fuss. Proper pro yet again. I think being a good lad does have something towards it. I think it was a safe bet. I think there's a world where, had it not gone so well with Goodmanson, Bogle, James Justin, I think there's a world where he'd have probably played more minutes had we not gone to 5 at back or whatever you would deem it, 3-5-2, where, Gruev sort of sits and Goodmanson gets further forward, Rodon pushes forward, James Justin pushes forward. Had it not gone that way, there would have been perhaps a world where Byron plays more minutes. But the way we've gone, the way we've performed, and the way that Goodmanson's come in and clearly been the best left-back we've had for a while, barring my man, Junior Firpo Mandingo, yeah, I think there's a world where he probably plays more minutes. It's a testament to how well we've done, really, that he isn't, because he is a safe pair of hands. And I think Farke, would have liked to have... I think he probably got promised more minutes than he got, but he'll have been under no illusions that the likelihood is, if it's going well for us, you're probably not going to be playing many minutes. We're going to need you when we need you, and that's going to be it. I think that he probably just thought that they'd need him a little bit more than they had. Nobody's saying that, but a new manager won't do that either until we have established and massively upgraded. We've got somewhere to go before a new manager would make any blind bit of difference to what we've done. We might have picked up a few different results, but then we might have got tonked in a few different results. It's just, it's the grass isn't always greener, is it? Football Fantasy Cast, says Danny Burden. Years up, Howard Burden. Sorry, not Danny Burden. It's only by chance I'm catching your stream, says Roger Slicker. I don't know if that's a diss or not. Last 6 in the mighty Premier League. Draw, draw, win, loss, draw, win for a newly promoted side with 2 free strikers. Their main threat. We need to look at this manager. I mean, what's he doing? Absolute bollock. Not even bollocks from Ming there, just an absolute bollock. An absolute bollock. Let's push the boat out with Farke, see how far it takes. As Roger Slicker bringing a bit of positivity up in this bitch. I agree. An ambitious Champions League manager is not coming to Leeds for many seasons yet. And that's basically because we're nowhere near the Champions League, are we? You know, it's going to be extremely hard to get into the Champions League. We're not... We need survival. You know, I hate saying we need survival because I also disagree with that. Well, we do need it. But I don't think we won't be aiming towards survival next year. I think if we'll build again, I agree. It might have been 78 RPM a few weeks ago. It's coming up this year. He's not going to be hard to stay away from. So we're to pull away from sides. So even before the first games, because you know we are going to leapfrog you. Yes, indeed, 78 RPM. Buttons, if not the week before. We are not finishing below where we are now. There is a world where Nonto kicks on. It's called Italia. Yeah, the poll and 28 votes is 61% that they would let him go, 39 no. Which I did think it'd go that way. I don't know what it is. It's not even that I've got a soft spot for him because they were a dickhead that time, wasn't it? But if you're Nonto for your own career, you should probably want to leave. It's probably time for him to move on, to be fair. I'm with it. Nonto Harry Wilson says 78 RPM. Harry Wilson, big man, yeah. I think he's better suited. Again, it's not that we can't upgrade on Nonto. Depends if we get a decent price on Nonto, yeah, which I think we would. I think it's probably an abroad move for him. But there was a time when, you know, in the Premier League where him and Somerville were genuinely, you know, they were brilliant, weren't they? And Gary Neville was on about you're looking at like an elite youngster here and stuff. So I do think there's plenty in the tank for him, but it's just maybe not with us. Nonto, I think keep. I think he is a decent player, just doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. He's gone off the boil, no doubt about that, but controversial comment, do we stick or twist with Tanaka? 20 million, 30 million, everywhere where you go. 20 million, 30 million. Tanaka's your next one then. So Nonto's to go in summer. Would you let Tanaka go for 20 mil? I put 25 mil just to put a bit of a spanner in. Works. I'd sell it summer only if we have an upgrade first. As long as they'll have a pretty big plan, what they and who they think they can bring in. So, you know, because he's been a bench player and he's been sort of quite low down the pecking order, hasn't he? So, anybody's just tuned in, I'm talking about Nonto still here, not Tanaka. Isn't this a flash in the pan season for Wilson? It could be, Brett. I don't know. He's been decent, hasn't he? Have they offered him a new contract yet, Harry Wilson? Stick with Dr. Farke. It can soon go very... Fucking hell. It can soon all go so very wrong. He's building a squad, up and downs as always. Let's just sustain ourselves in the Premier League and build and progress. And I do believe we have the man to do so. The calm, collected man. Only one win away from home all season. That's against mighty Wolves. Don't ask me what my point is. What's your point, Roger Slicker? We will not renew Byram. Agreed. 78 RPM. Another year of pretty much sitting will not do Nonto any good. I agree with that, Cletus, yeah. It probably is time for him to move on. Byram to Sheffield United as a free agent. But, says Dave Marwood. Which I think will be an add-on to his earlier comment. It's all good, Jack. We all respect that some fans are Farke posterior kisses. Posterior. And some fans think we can do better. Harley 200 in the house. Farke is not even a top flight manager. If we were to keep him, then he will keep on being too stubborn with the rotation and substitutions. I'm sort of like, I live in a world. Well, we live in a world full of hype, hysteria, and bullshit, don't we? Hype, opinion, and bullshit. Hype, hysteria, opinion, and bullshit. And I'm sort of in like a slit your own wrists zone of like thinking I wish Farke had just made the subs 10 minutes earlier and then this would stop. But then it wouldn't be the man he is and we wouldn't have the results that we've been getting. So I don't want him to acquiesce to the I think he's doing the right things. I said all last season in the Championship, I would have liked to have seen substitutions 10 minutes earlier. Said it till I was blue in face. At 60 minutes, you can make a like-for-like sub that has no bearing on the game other than just bringing fresh legs on at the time in the Championship. I think it's slightly different now in the Prem because I think everything matters. I think every decision is massive. But I just think with the squad we had and with the team that we had and the amount of wins that we were getting, he could have made a substitution 10 minutes earlier, give one of the wingers, say, 30 minutes instead of 20 minutes or 15 minutes. Give them 30 minutes. And it doesn't even affect the style of play. It doesn't even affect the structure. It doesn't affect anything about the club. The game. Sorry, not the club. It doesn't affect the game whatsoever other than just add on a little bit of injection and give that lad an opportunity to go and actually do something in 30 minutes rather than 15. But it goes the way about it. It goes, you have to say that most of, I'd be interested. I really want I want the stats nons to go down I want somebody to go down a road and actually tell me and work out how many substitutions make a positive effect across the entirety of football. Because I can think of Farke making substitutions that's really worked this season and last season. And I'd be interested to know how often that is the case, just in general across all football. Because I don't think it's probably as often as everybody makes out. I think it's probably quite rare. And, like the Liverpool game being a case in example. I would say the Man City game, but nobody will want to hear that because we still lost that game. But the Liverpool game, for instance, where we came back, he brought Aronson, I believe Aronson and Nonto, or perhaps Aronson and Tanaka, they both came on and they ripped it up and we were awesome in that second half. And then we went to 4-3-3, what everybody had told me at the start of the season that Farke wasn't listening. He's an idiot. We need to go 5 at the back. It suits the team. Everybody were banging on about it on Twitter. Everybody were on YouTube, pissing and whinging. All worst defenders in the world on YouTube were telling me that we need to go 5 at back. And then, and I don't watch, but I get it. It all gets drip-fed through. You lot all tell me about what they're all on about. So it's all hearsay, but they were saying he's learning now on Twitter. Paul, the defensive mastermind on Twitter, was saying Farke's finally learning his lesson or whatever. Like, what the fuck are you on about? He went 5 at back because it was not because you told him to. The Farke hate is insane, says Richard Walker. Agreed, big man. I'll take 25 million bones for Nonto. I'll throw in a spice rack and I'll bubble wrap his boots, says Joe Peru can sniff a goal. The question is, Joe Peru can sniff a goal. If Joe Peru moves, will you change your name or will you still be happy with that? Harley 200 says, I actually think a lot of Leeds fans are mentally not very all there. What are we talking about? Prem titles, Champions League and talking about new managers. It's the new thing, isn't now. I agree though, Ali, 200. Apart from maybe not the mentally not very well, I don't want to go down that route. But, in terms of, everybody wanting everything now, it's like, what manager do you bring in that takes you to the Premier League title next year? It's crazy, baby, crazy. Roger Slicker, when I say push boat out, I mean in round a mini lake. It's only 4 foot deep and retrievable. I think it's probably deeper than 4 foot in it. Round a mini lake. If we're still here, if chat dries up, Roger Slicker, I'll have a look how deep it actually is. The new mindset in the game is snappy fast now. We want now. We have it. We have to have it now. Let's build something. Building greatness happens when you put faith in one guy and build with that over time. Yes, Harley, love it, mate. It's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like, it's maybe football is going back towards that a little bit, and stability is important for players. You play a certain way now, where everybody does have to sort of buy into it. It's not like, You know, I think you can come in, to bring in I mean, the amount of managers that have philosophies now and are so rigid that, you know, they're coming into clubs and they're adamant and demanding that we go down this route. It's like, well, this route isn't working, is it? And then they're unwilling to change, which is, and I'm not talking about before anybody starts telling me about plan Bs and plan Cs and plan Ds. I'm just on about like a bit of game management. I don't even think that moron Amarin had to change his ways. I just think during games, you have to have 10 minutes where you go, right, this is not, we get back to our game plan, but for 10 minutes, we need to be solid here and ride the game out, get on the ball much as you can, take the sting out of the game, and then when we can influence, that's when you push your game, that's when you push your philosophy or your policies or whatever the wording would be, or your assignments, as Rossini would say. You know, that's when you push that forward. That's when you push your formation forward, the way you want to play. But for at least 20 minutes, at any level, really. I mean, there were championship games where we had to sort of hold in. And I wondered whether Dr. Farke was sort of waiting for us to get to the Premier League and just sort of like, go, by the way, boys, if they have a good 20 minutes here, just sit in, stay solid, don't give them a chance. And it's all good practice when we get to the Premier League, baby! Tanaka definitely keep. He's a really good player, but there is another one who should be in there for me. What do you mean, Taddy Greengrass? Last year Tanaka was 40 million and rising. I don't. Do you think they'd get 40 million for him? Do you think 40 million for Tanaka, really? He barely played. Nah, Jack, not lists who they want, but get someone in first. Then let him go. JSL type deal. Someone in before they go. I know. Get him in. I used to always mess about on Twitter, but people would say like, we need to get someone better than Bamford, and I just used to like comment on everybody's post, just saying, "Oh, let me know when he gets here, mate." Like, you let me know when he gets here. What people don't know is that the grass isn't always greener, and very likely it won't be greener. Sick of Dave, who works at Morrison's, thinking he knows more about the game than Farke. Get a grip. There is an element of that, isn't there, Harley? I mean, granted, I'm on YouTube, you know, talking shit about football, but, you know, I think we come with a bit of a different angle, don't we? Just in terms of, like, you know, it's a bit playful in it over here. We're not trying to tell Dr. Farke what to do. And if I thought he were making errors or whatever, I would happily say, you know, in my low resolution thinking, you know, you can be objective about it. I'm not saying fans can't have an opinion. Definitely can. But not when Farke's doing a job as good as he is. You know, I just think it's a bit unwarranted. Declan Rice rates Tanaka, says Taddy Greengrass. Declan Rice is overrated, mate. Posterior and hysteria, either way, one of them is arse. Asteria. Brett, I think that in the main point of the debate, I think that is the main point of the debate. Different fans have different wants, targets, and expectations. Doesn't mean anyone is right or wrong, but debate's always good, Brett. But my point would be, you know, I don't think getting a new manager in Texas to the next level. I don't know what that means. So it's hard for me to disagree with it, and it's hard for me to agree with it because I genuinely don't know what that means. Does that mean 8th? So like, does that mean that you guys Sunderland maintain what Labrie did? They maintain that all season and you finish 4th? How high were you at one point? Do you need, is someone better than Labrie able to do what you guys did for the first 10 games? Is he able to do that for 38 games? Is that the next level? Is that what we're saying? So he's good for 15 games and then he's not. And I agree that's a pattern that he shows. And I agree that Farke has a pattern where we come good in the second half of seasons, or a third into the season we really start to get going. But there was a pretty famous manager called Alex Ferguson that used to do that as well. So maybe just needs better players. Will you say he's not a top flight manager when he keeps us up, says CB? Probably. He probably will. Morrison's Dave don't know shit. Yes, Hummers 11, what's good, big man? Two lives in 2 days, mate. Or 3 days, whatever. I went live yesterday, were I? Shout out to Hummers 11. Thank you for that, man. You're a legend, mate. It's much appreciated. We need to do more for the members, to be fair. We need to organise. We need to sort something. A pint on last day, that means sorting. Hummer getting the love he deserves. Rich Walker, it was only Leeds geared up. Cheers, Hummers, you're a legend, mate. Appreciate you. Shout out to Hummers 11, my favourite number. In my opinion, we shouldn't accept anything less than 50 million for Tanaka. Yes, he's that good, and teams would be getting a decent player. Right, well, okay then. So, if we got... Who would pay... Can I ask a question where people can answer on this? No. Who would pay 50 mil for Tanaka? Top 4 England. Because that's where you're looking at. Top European. Top Euro team. I don't know. A team like Brighton. Or no one. And I've got to put no one in there, AO, because I don't think anybody pays 50 million for Tanaka. I think that would be bad business, brother. Hummer getting the love. Appreciate you, Hummer, mate. Legend. Where does young Archie stand if Spurs go down? Probably in changing rooms. He'll be there last day, won't he? Just chilling with my 1-year-old, listening to the chat. He's a future Leeds fan, bless him. Yes, shout out to the 1-year-old Hummers. What's his name? I'm assuming it's a boy. Well, it is a boy, because he said he's a future Leeds fan, so that's why. Good parenting, mate, and you know it. Shout out to Hummers 11 and the young boy, the young Leeds fan in the making. Jack, you predicted Peru getting 6 goals this season, so you obviously had some faith in the lad. I did indeed, Roger Slicker. Yes, indeed. And I was... he will not get 6 goals this season. I was hopeful. I don't remember saying he would definitely get 6 goals. I remember saying I'm hopeful that Peru can pop up with a few chances. I still back the bloke to score. Unfortunately, he cannot engineer chances for himself. And in the Premier League, they're not going to fall to you, either. You have to be able to... There's a bit more witchcraft involved in order to get chances. 60 foot deep round there. Not sure on Waterloo Lake, says Luke. So I would imagine it's deep. I mean, people have drowned in it, haven't they? Who would you start? Who would you get rid of then, Greengrass, to get Tanaka in? Who comes out at squad to get Tanaka in? Not worried about the teams coming up next season, but on the same, not the rest of the Prem will be spending a lot of money after seeing what's happened this season. It's interesting to see who goes down, isn't it? And then, if Spurs go down, there'll be less money spent in Premier League. They'll be surely looking to get something sorted. I saw a lad in a pram with a scum hat on, and scum dad pushing him in the scum scarf. In my head, I said out loud, that's child abuse. I agree, Mingy, absolutely. Yes, Mimi, appreciate you, Mimi. We've got 56 in the room and only 48 likes, guys. We could get them likes up to the best part of 60. I'd be buzzing. So we know we're on a rotisserie out where people come and go. So there's we could have easily got 100 likes here, but there's no dice, is there? Nobody causes on up to that like button for me. I chatted with Leedsborough's site. I said taking my lad to the Leeds match. Oh, he said, that's fantastic. How old is the little fella? 38, I said. Get up, Mingy, and you know it, Ming. Think about what Farke has done with the squad he's got and all the so-called top-flight managers that have done very little and with better squads. Better squad. Farke stays, in my opinion. Let's look at who's been sacked this year. Sean Dyche, Amarin, with a Man U side that then Carrick's come in and done, he's won 5 out of 6 games, whatever he's won. Sean Dyche has gone. Did Postecoglou go this season? Was he a this season casualty? I believe he was, wasn't he? And then he ended up at Forest and went again, didn't he? Thomas Frank's gone. These are all allegedly. Notts Forest are allegedly a top club from last year. Got through 3 managers on the 4th manager. Thomas Frank at Tottenham, top club, allegedly a top 6 side. Gone. Bombed. You telling me my man Dr. Farke would not do a better job than Thomas Frank's done this year? And by all accounts, I don't mind Thomas Frank. Eddie Howe's struggling this year. I think Eddie Howe's a top manager. He's not having best of seasons. I don't think they'll sack him. I think that'd be silly. Who else has gone? Enzo at Chelsea. They're a top 5, top 4 side. He's had to go. He's got the chop. Arne Slot was under serious pressure at one point. They've been really poor. There's not many performing managers this year, is there? Hence why boring Arsenal, the set piece specialists, are top at league in my opinion. Because even Guardiola, although he's gone through patches of playing really well, not been quite at their absolute best, have they? So there will be someone out there that is an improvement on Labrie. As for the next step/level, I think it's being comfortable next season without looking over the shoulder. Well, would you say you're looking over your shoulder at the moment, though, Brett? Because we're not looking over our shoulder. We are a little bit. But Sunderland on 36, you're 11 points clear at drop with 11 games to go. You can't be looking over your shoulder. You must be happy with that. You've been on worse form that you've been on for a while. Lost 4 of your last 5. Hopefully we put you to the sword. With a couple of wins, we'll be in there. We'll be 10th with a couple of wins. So, with 9 games to go, we could not be looking over our shoulder anymore. Next level means Farke doing better with Leeds and O'Leary. And how likely is that? Do you remember how much money? I mean, I love O'Leary, but do you remember how much money he had at his disposal, big man? Fucking hell. He looked a bit flustered and say, "Oh, grand." As a fan base, we do seriously overvalue our players. I don't just using the royal we. That's got to be on 22 votes. Top England 5%, a top Europe team, which I think is the only likely version of it, but 50 million. But people saying a team like Brighton 18% and then no one on 59%, because it'd be a madness to pay 50 quid, says Hummers 11. A big super chat. A super chat gets you Tanaka, doesn't it? It's simple. If we stay up, Farke stays. Graham Randall. Perfectly poignant, mate. One sentence. Say what you see. Get the job done. If we stay up, Farke stays. Agreed. Agreed. Tanaka is a player who would shine at top 5 club in any league in Europe. And for 50 million, they'd be getting a bargain. I think that's bonkers. I think 50 mil's bonkers. Farke is a building manager, methodical and progressive. He's a manager where if you stick with and support him, he will build to a long-term great. Fans want instant miracles, which doesn't last, says G60 Nick. Yes, and getting a new manager in and spending 6 games with him and going, 6 wins in 6 games, and then going, look, this is what Dr. Farke couldn't do. And then the cracks arise. Do you know what I mean? The cracks arrive, and you don't, and then you go on the worst barren spell of the last 10 years, and you go, kind of likes that stability that Dr. Farke and the medics brought, 8 months ago. Brighton don't do things by half. Putting them in a poll shows your biases again, because Brighton get them on the cheap. What? Well, how else can I put? What would you have put in the poll? And a team like Brighton, I just meant a team, like Brighton, who are in position, sometimes be hovering around Europe, never poor, but never going to get in Champions League. Can't win with you, Roger Slick. I'm sure some of our fans are on the pipe. Seriously, can't blame them, mate. Fire sale at Spurs if they go down, says Rich Walkie. I don't know who'd won them, though. Luke on that Wrexham might be hour looking at their game today. There's been a few championship games tonight, haven't there? Easy B says the 49ers know what they're doing. Love it, mate. I still think we might get our money back on Peru. He's decent, just outclassed by the level and a couple of freebies, unfortunately. Exactly that 78 RPM. What did we pay for him? 15 mil? I think a championship side would pay 15 mil for him. He guarantees to bang you 20 goals in. And I actually think, he gets more goals in a side, like Swansea, where everything went through him. It's like he's the main man, and just give him the ball, feed the goat, and he will score. I think he'd survive even better with that. Rutter was sort of in his way a little bit and stuff, and season after we've got good wingers that get goals, and we were picking up goals left, right, and centre. Somerville were there, so it's not. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Mimi, the she badger has arrived, and you know it, Mink. Tanaka's mental fortitude would likely be seen as a flaw, says SST. He's lost his shit last season. The pressure broke him. I think that's why we're not seeing as much of him. I agree, SST. We took that all well, didn't we, when he was crying or whatever after games? But the reality is that's not good. I said that at the time, and it's concerning, I'd say, at best. And I do think, that can sort of like perhaps break you a little bit in general as well, going into, in your career. I think if there's a little bit of, I don't want to say a weakness there, 'cause he's obviously brilliant on ball and stuff, but, the mental fortitude, like you say, he's got to be hella strong on it to perform at this level week in, week out, as Roy Keane would say. Archie and KP went for 40 million, and are we saying Tanaka is no way as good as those two? Seriously. Well, 40 million is not 50 million for a start, but yeah, I probably am saying that, yeah. And I think English players are massively overhyped anyway. I think nobody. What's the poll saying? I'll tell you what, I'll change it. No one's paying 50 million for Tanaka, but how much is Tanaka worth? 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, or 50 plus. Get your 50 in there, AO. Loving it. Clubs should commit to the managers who fit their identity and trust them through the tough periods. There's no light without dark, yet too often they sack them before it arrives. Yet we actually one of the only clubs in, I'd say, in modern history, to be honest, that I could think of, that teams have been through a pretty bad patch and we've stuck with him, and then it's actually come good. Everybody needs to chill out and go, we knew this was going to be difficult, and it hasn't been that difficult, has it? I was a component. I was one of the guys at the start of the season that said, I don't think this league is as hard as everybody makes out. I think if you turn up every week and you're proper resilient and you've got a good squad, like a good team squad, as in a good feeling amongst the players, and you don't get down when times do get hard. You do have players like Longstaff and Calvert-Lewin that are used to losing games, when they were both in relegation battles, and then obviously equally, they've played for Calvert-Lewin's played for England, Longstaff's played in Champions League, so they know what it's like to win and lose. It's like, well, we've lost 8 games on bounce, but are we going to get down about it? We're going to panic about it? No, we're going to get stuck into fucking Man City at weekend. We're going to do them over. Obviously, you don't want to be losing 8 games on bounce. Whoever picks Sean as their manager, you are rolling the dice. You're rolling in the deep as well in that lake, aren't you, Roger Slicker? Where you're 4 foot deep, bloody. I can't remember Roundhay Park Lake. I doubt it. 18th most valuable squad in the Prem. Those who whine on about our most expensive Championship squad being the only reason we're promoted. And that's my point again, 78 RPM, about what he did with Norwich. Getting Norwich out of the Championship. They wasn't valuable, were they? And then there was turgidly, there must have been the lowest valuable squad in Prem when they went up. So it's totally skewed. There's an agenda. At what point does ambition at Leeds United turn into impatience, and who decides the process? Who decides when the process has truly failed? That's what I mean, Harley. I think it's when we're discussing. It's the boardroom meetings, isn't it? That's where it all collapses. It must be ultimately, where you're clearly pulling away from each other. The trust has gone, hasn't it? Or they're looking elsewhere. You're not I mean, Sooners always said you can tell at a club when you're on way out anyway, because people stop talking to you, and you're not privy to conversations and stuff. You're nowhere near, Brett. Believe me. Do you honestly think West Ham are going to get 11 more points than you do out of 11 games? They've won 6 games all season, and they'd have to win 3, 6, 9, 12. They'd have to get 4 more wins than you, and that's if you stand still. They'd have to get 4 wins out of it, Brett. If you go down, Brett, we're all doomed. 6 teams are getting relegated this year if you go down. Looking back over your shoulder, I cannot escape. A team like Brighton, I would swap Tanaka for Rutter back in a heartbeat. Agreed, 78 RPM. In other matters, where the fuck are MVG and BMG? We don't know. I ain't seen BMG for a couple of days. I don't know where Legendary is. I don't precisely remember how much money O'Leary had, but Farke has richer owners today, and it was 100% the Leeds board who ruined us, not O'Leary, who was scapegoated. I'm not blaming O'Leary for spending money given to him. Any man would spend money. If I said, will you give us $1 million, I'd spend it, believe me. I'd be good at spending money. I don't blame O'Leary. If he says, I want this player and the board get the player, the board get the player. And certainly not. I'm not on board with any blame towards O'Leary. The fact that Farke has got richer owners, though, doesn't mean he can go out and sign the best players in the league, which is ultimately what we were doing. We were signing £18 million Rio Ferdinands, like proper players that went on to win multiple Premier Leagues. We can't do that right now, eh? Your 50 million man Tanaka can't even get inside. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not the richer, but they're not spending. We bought so many players, man. I mean, we were literally just going around buying everybody for silly money. O'Leary literally had a bottomless wallet. Yes, indeed, he did. 78 RPM. Southampton smashed QPR 5-0. No mercy, no murder. That's why we went bust. Absolutely, 78 RPM. Risked it all, that dick slap Ridsdale. Tanaka's nowhere near Archie, where KP was not even close. I agree, RPM. Jack, it's tongue-in-cheek with me, as well you know. When the stream stops, it's back to reality. This is cathartic escapism, better than a doctor's pill. Love it, Roger Slicker. I'm glad I'm part of your therapy. Tanaka, who surely we all love, has looked nowhere near a £20 million player of late. Yeah, I think you get 20 mil for him. 20 votes, 20 to 30 million, say the 50%. He's not had a great season, but he has had moments, to be fair. But the Leeds board was spending 3k a week on their wages, hiring limousines, planes, and putting it all down on the Leeds books. Ridsdale screwed us big time. I don't think anybody's blaming O'Leary. O'Leary had no budget. Ridsdale was chucking players at him, mortgaged against future income. We missed Champions League by a point to Liverpool. Had we qualified, Ridsdale would have been a genius. Yeah, the problem with genius in it, SST, is when you're not a genius, you're a gloit, aren't you? As been alluded to, Tanaka was bought for 3 million, as you well know, Roger Slicker. That doesn't really matter. But when you go from 3 million to 50 million, I think most boards would look at that and go, well, he can't even get in the Leeds side. So nobody's going to pay 50 million for somebody that can't get in our side. We were taking loans to pay wages. I never said O'Leary was at fault. This is what I mean. Nobody's saying that if you give the manager money, he's going to spend it, innit? Fact, he could buy who he wanted. Ridsdale never said we were breaking the bank to do it. And even if he had 78 RPM, even if he's privy to that and saying, well, if we don't get in Champions League, the club's fucked. It's like, well, I'll do my best to get us in Champions League, but that is ultimately that's your risk, isn't it? If Wolves can inflate JSL, who is at maximum a £25 million player, but he were playing for him, wasn't he? What's wrong with us getting a decent price for Tanaka who's better than JSL? Well, I mean, they're playing different positions, don't they? But think you get 25 million for him. The way this season is going, anything can happen, mate. Stay loose, Brett. You're fine, mate. Tanaka would not realise more than 25 million at most. Facts. Graham Randall is not. We would not get more than 25 million. I agree, big man. 78 RPM. Sunderland could not possibly relegate, but they may finish below us. Yes, indeed. They might drop a couple of places, but you're a long way from home here. 11 points, 11 games to go is a long. Again, this. I bet West Ham fans have never felt so feared in their whole life. They must wonder what the hell's going on. Must think, why does everybody think we're so good? Yes, our stripper, what's good, big man? Welcome back. Jack, looking back over my shoulder was Mick and the Marcanics, Australian band. I set you up to knock it out the round day park, and you knew I'd fall at the first hurdle, Roger Slicker, so don't play me like that again, brother. Brett says, not mathematically safe. It's all good, but I'd love to see O'Leary return. O'Leary was another one, though, and I'm fond of O'Leary, the O'Leary days, before it all went turgid. But he never really did all after, did he? Or before, truth be told. He inherited a decent side, and then we spent shitloads of money, and he did well. We played good football, and a lot of players that perhaps just ready to be at the best level. We found everybody at the right age, didn't we? And the Boyers and the Kuhls and Decors and Backers and Verdukas and Smiths and Fowlers and Robbie Keanes and Gary Kellys and Ian Harts and, God forbid, Danny Mills and Lucas Radaby and Jonathan Woodgate and Rio Ferdinand and Nigel Martin. Who am I missing? I mean, there was just so many players. Fucking Darren Huckabee got Champions League goals. Who am I missing? I feel like there'd be another. We had a few strikers, didn't we, at one point? I think I've mentioned them though. A lot. Try to change history. Farke had the most expensive championship squad in history. Fact. But he got us out of there, didn't he? I disagree with the game that says Farke only stays if we stay up. I think he stays if we go down. He can take a step back up, says Harley. I don't think he would, though, Harley, just on the basis that I actually agree he's the best manager to get you back up. But I don't think he would want the project at that point, because I think it'd be well known that he's on the he's going to get bombed. If we'd go back up in Championship and they'd know that you're not getting another crack at it in Premier League. So I do think you'd have to move on, because the project has failed. If we were to go down, it's failed under Farke ultimately. Jack, what about a European 11, but you can only have one player per country? Love it, Brett. We're doing that one for certain. Europe 11, one player per country. That'd be good, dude. That's a good one. I'll let BMG know when we see him. Because Tanaka had a strong championship season does not make him better than JSL, who had a strong Premier season in the same year. I know, and then Wolves turned to shit 78 RPM, and then you're anticipating that the striker's going to carry on some form from the season before. Then ultimately he's gone to Palace, has he? And he was banging goals in. I don't actually know how he went to Palace, didn't he? I'm not actually sure how he's got on since, but on his debut he got 2 goals. So. And that's not by any, I'm not suggesting by any means that means he's a good player. I'm just, who scored at weekend? No, I want him, to be fair. I can't. Where's his 2-goal game? I'm sure he got 2 goals. Have I had a bad dream about that? I'm sure he got not on his debut then, on his own debut or something. That's got 2 goals in donks, so I don't know where I've got that from. Although, did he sign? He maybe signed a while ago, did he? Fulham. No. I'm sure he got 2 goals. Fuck it. Mike and the Mechanics are British. Roger Slicker getting bombed there. They're British, mate. Leeds could conceivably win best team goal, best individual goal, and best bratwurst maker. Lol. I agree, Roger Slicker. To be fair, I don't think free kicks should ever win, though. To be honest, no matter how good they are. But yeah. I often think the best team goal is the best goal, innit? Tanaka 15 to 18 million, says Bob and Yeti. Out of form, not playing, undersized, strength and quickness. He's decent sub on a mid to low table team, not a starter unless it's on a team that has all the ball. Yeah, he's brilliant, Borbin, and he'll have a good career, but he's not 50 million, is he? It's a wild statement. SST, I stand corrected, just goes to show you can never tell. 2 Robbies, Viduka and Bridges. Yeah, you're talking luxuries. Forgot about Bridges. He were obviously super injury prone, and he were maybe slightly before all the signings started flooding in money, SST, but Bridges were mint that for one season as well. Farke had the most expensive championship team, but he's overperforming with the 18th most valuable Premier League team. Yin and Yang, 78 RPM. You can't have it, mate. What are you missing? What you are missing is we had a good clutch of players come through Howard Wilkinson's youth setup at the same time into the first team. O'Leary was the lucky benefactor of this. Absolutely. I thought I alluded to that Gomez gang. That's what I'm saying. O'Leary never went on and did much after, did he? He went to Villa. I think he did all right for a bit. And, he certainly wasn't on in Champions League semi-finals with anybody else, were he? JSL scored 2 in their 3-2 loss. Yeah. Where's that then? I knew he got 2. I thought it was his home debut, but I can't find that 3-2 loss. Oh, it's there. Burnley. Fucking hell, yeah, it's there, innit? Yeah, they went 2-0 up, didn't they? Exactly, RPM. Jack, do you mean JSL scored 2 against Burnley who went on to win 3-2? Yes, indeed, Luke. But that's not JSL's fault, is it? That they lost. But to be honest, I think Tanaka has had enough of Leeds and wants to be a team where he can play Champions League soccer. You can't blame him for wanting to be at a top club. You have to be able to get in your own side, though, don't you, before you start demanding Champions League football. Surely. The poll has spoken. 26 votes say that Tanaka is worth 20 to 30 million. 38% say 10 to 20. 12% say 30 to 40, and then 4% say 50 plus, and the 4% is no doubt my man. We was going to go through the James Milner article, but I've been here for an hour and a half, so I don't want you to get too bored of me. But I appreciate every which one of you. They all need minutes, arse ripper. They all need minutes. But if you could smash us a like on the way out, it's much appreciated. Thank you for everybody that tunes in. As I say every time, it's an absolute madness to me. I can't understand why anybody tunes in. Champions League results today are all done. Karabakh had a bit of a late charge against Newcastle. They put out a pretty decent side at the start as well. They went strong, didn't they? They won that 3-2. They beat them 9-3 on aggregate. Bodo Glimt beat Inter 2-1. Leverkusen drew with Olympiacos. Cheers, Joe Peruk and Sniffer Goal. Thank you, AO, my guy. Cheers, Brett. Shout out to Hummers11 for gifting out 5 memberships, handing out them memberships like he's Santa Claus. It's much appreciated. Appreciate every which one. He's 78 RPM. Brett, Arse Ripper, AO, Luke, SST, Gomez Gang, Roger Slicker, Bourbon Yeti, Brett, Harley, Arse Ripper. I don't know if I said Arse Ripper to be fair. 78 RPM. Shout out to BMG for no reason at all. Legendary MVG if he pops in later on. Joe Depp, Mingy, every which one of you. Luke, my guy Luke, Rich Walker, G60 Nick. Another shout out to Hummers11 for the super chat. You're a legend, mate. Appreciate every which one of you, as you well know. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you all tomorrow. Might see what Matt Leeds is doing tomorrow. Might have a chat about the Man City game or something. Although it's maybe a bit early to be talking about Man City, actually. That's Friday stuff, innit? Thursday night, Friday stuff. Not Thursday night. We all know what we're doing Thursday night, don't we, boys? Thunderclapper, ayo, geets up. Right, I'm out, everybody. Smash us a like on the way out. It's much appreciated. Peace.
I don't wanna play no games. No, I don't wanna play no games. No, I don't wanna hear your promises. You do you and I'll do me. That's just the way it is.
Boom.